Welcome inside the WB Mason Report on GoHofstra.com. I'm Julian Coultry, joined as always by the head coach of the Hofstra Pride Wrestling team, Rob Anspach. Coach, how's it going?
I'm doing fine.
Well, last dual meet of the season last week against Cornell. We'll kind of dive right in and then get your overall thoughts on the, dual meet season. But first, what were your thoughts on the Cornell match?
I thought the guys went out and did a pretty good job. They're obviously a very good team. They're in the finals of the national duels. Pretty much have a guy ranked at every weight class. So, we had some good spots in there. Joe Booth looked real well. Frank Affronti had a big win, at the end of his match. Jamie Franco, even with the loss, really wrestled well against Garrett, who's the #1 guy in the country. So there's a lot of positives finishing up the dual meet season. Obviously disappointed that you lose the match, but going in there, you're going up against one of the top teams in the country, and what you wanted to pull out of it, what we pulled out of it as a staff, is we wanted to make sure we got as many positives as possible out of it, and I think we came away with some pretty good ones. There's definitely some things we need to work on. I think the biggest disappointment from my standpoint would have been at 157 pounds, where it was a very winnable match. They didn't have their #1 guy in there, and we just didn't wrestle well. We come off of a huge weekend out at the national duels where we go 2-0 and followed up with a loss against a guy that is good. I mean, he's sitting behind a guy. He's probably a top 20 kid on any other team in the country, but he's still not the #1 guy there. And you just want to be consistent. And that's what we look for from our younger guys, being consistent. Jelani just being in the lineup and starting the lineup late January, still trying to figure out what he has to do week in and week out to be a consistent winner and consistent wrestler out there.
Now, last week you told me after the matches against Ohio State and Iowa State that it was a blowout, but it didn't look that way to the coaching staff. Is that how you felt about the match against Cornell?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, the match here was actually a little bit closer, 28-19. What was definitely a little bit closer. We won 4 matches and stuff like that. And again, we could have won 5 with Jelani at 157 pounds. But even the guys, I watched, you talk about just improvements throughout the year, and I look at a guy like Mike Hughes, who wrestled their heavyweight back in November, got pinned in 2 minutes and some seconds, and this time, he gets beat 7-0, but he's there, he's doing some things, he's competitive in the matches. So when I look from November to where we are today, he's made huge strides, and we just need to continue that. And I think I can say that about 174 pounds. 157 pounds, we're a little bit better than we were in the beginning of the year, and that's really where we're taking it from our coaching standpoint, saying, okay, we've made huge gains here. We need to continue to do that throughout the rest of this year, and with the guys returning, we need to do that moving forward through the summer.
Now, this non-conference slate, it's the end of the dual meets, and you guys get ready for the EIWA, so I guess you could say that the first season ends, but now it's championship season. So what were your thoughts on just the non-conference, the in-conference, and the first season, regular season in the EIWA?
Well, I mean, it was, when I look back at our season, and I'm looking at some of the dual meets we lost, and I look at our record, and I'm going, we blew a lot of matches. I mean, we absolutely blew a lot of matches. The Rutgers match, 21-21 tie, they win in criteria. The Bloomsburg match, we're going in there, and it was probably like, when I sit down and think about it, we probably should have lost like 3 matches. So for us to lose as many as we did was not great. We want to, and it was always something different each and every week, which is not what, you want to see that improvement from guys, and we feel like we're making progress with some guys, and then the next week we slip back down, and then we got to try and rebuild that guy. And so it was a frustrating season from that standpoint, where I think we could have won a lot more matches than we did. But again, when I'm looking at the overall aspect of everything, we had a lot of young guys in there. I think overall we were a little inconsistent in matches, and that's what caused us to lose the overall dual meets. But when I look from November until today, we are a better team. And we're going to go into the EIWA, which is one of the better conferences, and just based on the polls that I've seen today, we're supposed to finish 3rd in there, which is not a bad performance, especially when you look at maybe the year we're having, which I don't even know our record was 6-10 or something like that. You're sitting there, now you're going to finish 3rd in the conference. We have guys that can win, and can win consistently, and we are a better tournament team this year than we have been in years past, because we have 5 guys that can really win at a high level, and with that, if we get our other guys to perform up to their ability and have a consistent tournament, and there's a chance, Cornell will be very difficult to catch, but there's no reason why we can't be looking at a fight for, the 2nd place there with Lehigh.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming into this season, you guys had won a bunch of CAA titles, so it might be a little bit stranger having a little bit more competition in terms of the entire conference, where last year you guys just dominated the CAA.
Yeah, it's one of the things. We knew we're moving up, we're jumping a level here. I mean, going from the CAA, which I would consider probably the bottom tier, one of the bottom tier conferences, you know, you're in a conference where you've dominated ever since you got in there. I mean, from the time we walked into that conference, we were first or second basically. Well, we were first every year but one. And now we're moving into a conference where, you know, nationally, you know, is known to be one of the better conferences. So it's, you know, we're looking at a team in Cornell that's a top 5 team, and that's where we want to be. And they're going to be the guys, you know, where people are chasing us. We're now kind of in a reverse role where we're going to be chasing somebody. And as a coaching staff, it motivates us to get out and recruit harder. It motivates us to get in that room and work extra hard. And hopefully it's motivating our guys to sit there and you know, hey, this is what we want to do. It's not going to come as easy. We got to work. We got to put the same time and effort that Cornell and Lehigh and UPenn and what those schools are doing if we want to be able to not only stay with them but move ahead of them and stuff like that. So it's a great challenge for us. It's been great all year long. We've enjoyed it. Definitely more challenging, but that's why you compete.
Now, you mentioned 5 guys, and right now you have 5 guys in the top 25 of the RPI and 3 guys in the top 20. You look at some of the names that have helped you out this season. Joe Booth, obviously the graduate who comes over from Drexel. Luke White, who you've counted on these past couple of years. Jamie Franco, Cody Rodorello, Jamel Hudson. How much have they meant to the program in terms of going out there and just winning matches?
Well, they are the guys, you know, every team needs their leaders, and the guys that get them over, and those are our guys. You know, we count on them to win 80, 85, 90% of the matches. You know, we know going out there, like, you know, we can, when we're looking at the matches, okay, win, okay, well, this match is going to be a toss-up, win, you know, and we know where the other teams are good and stuff like that. So you count on those guys week in and week out, and they enjoy that type of pressure on them. I don't want to say it's pressure. They just enjoy that responsibility of carrying the team because they put the time and effort into it. So when you do those things, you expect people to expect you to win. And that's what they've done. And again, moving into this weekend or next weekend, we're going to rely heavily on those guys for the major points. You know, to get the first couple rounds, we're going to look for bonus points from them. Whereas some of our other guys, we're going to just look to get a win.
Yep.
You know, hey, we'll be happy with winning and moving on. But a guy like Luke and Cody and Joe, we want bonus points in those first couple rounds. And then we're going to expect those guys to be in the finals and winning these tournaments to help us, you know, place as high as we can. So they've meant a tremendous amount to us throughout this year. They're going to continue to mean a lot to us in this postseason.
Now, as far as the, I guess, final wrap-up before next week we go a little bit more in-depth on the EIWA, what's going to be the focus in the gym, the focus getting ready for changing over from that regular season now to this conference?
Well, it's going to be, you know, the one thing about wrestling that's unique for wrestling as opposed to any other sport, you could be 0 and 100 and you're still going to the postseason. So, you know, what I tell the guys is, you know, it doesn't matter what you did in the regular season. And that's always kind of everybody says that and stuff like that. But for wrestling, for the most part, even if you had a horrible regular season, you can still do okay in the postseason. So we want to make sure that the guys are ready to wrestle. You know, I think the guys like Luke and Joe and Jamie and Cody have built a good enough resume that if something does slip up at the conference tournament, they will still get to the national tournament. But you have guys like Frank and Jelani who got inserted into the lineup pretty late, that if they get hot at this point in time, they just got to get into that one of those qualifying spots, and they're going to nationals. And it doesn't matter what happened during the regular season. So, you know, it's really getting those guys focused on the task at hand. Make sure they have the confidence that they know they can go out there and wrestle, and just really kind of preach on that as far as being confident going out there. We don't want to change anything we've been doing too drastically. Let's figure out we can improve on certain areas, but other than that, we just want to sharpen our skills and really focus on this. It will be a good training week, and then next week we're going to taper off and really, you know, hone in on getting ready for the conferences Saturday and Sunday.
Head Coach Rob Anspach, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Remember, fans, you can tune into the WB Mason Coaches Report each and every week right here on GoHofstra.com.